What up, y'all? It's Middleman TV, and today we got to talk about how the WBA decided to put a 12-pound rehydration limit for the Frank Martin versus Gervonta Davis fight. Now, y'all know Gervonta Davis has a history for putting rehydration clauses on his opponents. He put a rehydration clause on Mario Barrios. He put a rehydration clause on Ryan Garcia. He made Leo Santa Cruz come up, real small guy. Gervonta Davis just has a history of handicapping his opponents, and now he's handicapping Frank Martin, who fights in the same weight class as Gervonta Davis. Now, if Frank Martin was a 147-pounder like Mario was, or 140-pounder, I could understand a rehydration limit. But y'all fight at the same weight. Now, I don't know what Frank rehydrate at, right? Frank probably rehydrate, if I had to guess, at like 159, 160, right? At the most. Tank rehydrate probably at like 148, 147, 150, whatever. It's probably a 10-pound difference. You're Tank Davis, man. You the face of boxing. Why you gotta cap your opponent, bro? You've been doing this for a long time. You're trying to take the Floyd Mayweather approach. You got Leonard Ellaby on your team, who always believe in this A side, B side, and capping your opponents. As a real boxing fan, man, that shit whack, bro. I'm just letting y'all know. Gervonta came out and spoke on the whole situation. He said that, you know, he had no idea that the WBA was going to do this. He ended up reading it on Twitter like everybody else. But then he goes on to say, like, you know, fight is supposed to come in on the same weight on fight night. No, that's not true, Gervonta. Y'all supposed to come in on the same weight on weigh-in day. On fight night, y'all come in whatever weight. Rehydration shit, that started with niggas like Floyd and you. You know what I'm saying? Manny Pacquiao did it, but it's a whack way to go about things. You feel me what I'm saying? Like, you see Devin was willing to fight Ryan full throttle. Like, to me, you get respect for fighting somebody full force, not trying to cap him. Like, there's a lot of respect behind that, in my opinion. So, I later read by Dan Rafael that the WBA made a mistake and that there's not going to be a rehydration clause on the fight, and that Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis are going to fight full throttle, full force, no rehydration clauses. So now I'm like, okay, I hear from credible sources that there's going to be a rehydration clause, but I also hear from credible sources that there's going to be no rehydration clause. So I'm kind of like, all right, we're going to see on fight night. We'll know come weigh-in time, but I'm kind of leaning towards maybe there's not going to be a rehydration clause. That would, please, what's the point of putting a rehydration clause on Frank Martin? I think Frank Martin is an athletic fighter with some power and some pop behind his punches, but he's got some, you know, liabilities, man. I noticed against Artem Hutham-Young, his defense isn't the greatest. Hutham-Young was winning some rounds. He was landing to the body. You know, Frank Martin's going to have to dig deep in this fight. He's got a lot of weaknesses. That being said, Frank has not fought in any elite fighters his entire career. So why would Gervonta feel the need to cap a guy who a lot of people in the boxing world don't even see as an elite fighter? We don't know too much about Frank. This fight with Frank is going to tell us a lot. This is his first huge fight under the lights. So I hope there's no rehydration clause, man. This was one of the fights I was probably most excited about this summer. And I'm still excited about the fight. But if there is a rehydration clause on the fight, I will no longer be excited for the fight, man. I still think Gervonta Davis is the big favorite. You know, he's been under the lights. He's been in the experience. He's a good fighter. Frank lacks a little bit of the experience under the lights. He does have a good trainer in Derek James. And, yeah, man, we're going to see how Frank does under them lights, man. I still think Tank wins the fight, but I think Frank, if there's no rehydration clause, I think he can give him one of his toughest fights of his career. And I think Frank can go the distance. But we're going to have to see how this thing play out. And like I said, man, I hope there's no rehydration clause, because this is supposed to be one of the most exciting fights of the summer, man. And a rehydration clause, to me, would take away from the competitive side of this fight. So we need a straight-up fight with no rehydration clause. That's what I think on Middleman TV. Y'all leave y'all opinions in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Should there be a rehydration clause? Do y'all think that's fair? Do y'all want to see this fight straight head-to-head? Like, let Frank come in whatever way he come in at? Because I don't think he rehydrate no more than 165. Let's be honest. Tank probably 150. So what y'all think? Leave the comments in the comment section. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. I'm out of here. Middleman TV. Peace.